Welcome to a broadcast of the recent Lorain County Commissioners' General Meeting. Unless otherwise announced, meetings are held Wednesday morning at 9:30 at the Administration Building, 226 Middle Avenue, 4th floor, downtown Elyria. These are public meetings and you are invited to attend. Agendas are posted prior to the meeting at www.loraincounty.us. Click on Departments to see the Commissioners page, then click on View Agenda.
Good morning, everyone. If you'll please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
In our inspirational word for the day, be sure to do what you should, for then you will enjoy the personal satisfaction of having done your work well, and you won't need to compare yourself to anyone else. Who has our dog today? Commissioner Kokoski.
Got a sweet, sweet, sweet little girl right here, little Shih Tzu. She's probably a little over a year old. She is the sweetest dog, just very sweet. Somebody's going to take her home and make her a wonderful pet. She's available tomorrow, so come down to the Lorain County Dog Kennel. We have 30 dogs to pick from if you want something a little bit bigger, but she is a sweet, sweet girl. So come pick her up and take her home. Remember, adopt, don't shop.
Much better outcome than last week, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, Ted missed that one. Okay. Yeah, I plotted it, I'm sure. It's guys in the carpet business, they love when those accidents happen, you know.
Exactly.
So. But, Madam Clerk?
We have a presentation from Lorain County, Jennifer Kennedy, and then we also have Elaine Georgas from Addis Board.
Okay. I think if we could this morning, maybe start with Elaine from the Addis Board. Good morning. Either podium that works for you. Okay. Thanks. I know you're very busy these days, so we wanted to make sure to give you a chance to update us, give us a presentation, and so you can get back to your office. I know you got a lot on your plate.
Thank you very much. Elaine Georgas, the Executive Director of the Alcohol and Drug Addiction Services Board of Lorain County. First of all, I want to thank you for your conversation last week at the meeting. Where we're at today is everybody's talking about the impact of heroin overdoses and substance abuse in Lorain County. We are everywhere. We were Monday at 4 city council meetings, and one of the meetings started with the mayor attending a funeral of a young person who overdosed recently. So issue 35 is out there. As again, thank you for placing it on the ballot. Our board and our volunteers are out there. The issue is a 1.2 mil levy, which is a 5-year levy. It will cost the owner of a $100,000 home about $42 per day. Less than 12 per year. I'm sorry, thank you. Less than 12 cents per day. This is really about how we need to not only raise the conversation, but to save lives through additional treatment recovery supports, resulting in less wait time for treatment of alcoholism, heroin, and other drug addiction. The focus, we need to reduce waiting lists by increasing capacity, primarily for the acute services. Everybody's talking about the lack of detox in our community, the limits on safe, sober beds for people, so that's one of the acute care needs that we'll address. Ironically, with the epidemic, that was really where our board first started, but cocaine is still a conversation in our community. We had a mid-50-year-old gentleman come in seeking help for cocaine. We still have people that can't get help for alcoholism. So the platform is to address all of addiction, for treatment and recovery supports for addicts, helping families by providing education and support to deal with their loved one's addiction. While we have support groups and education, there's still a lot of families that are just personally struggling and not able to find the right ways to care for their loved ones and help them get them on their path to recovery. Ensuring that our youth are drug-free from increased school-based outreach, prevention, and early intervention. Our conversations with the schools, we've got to start earlier with earlier age groups. We found some programming for first graders that can help them with their self-regulation that have been proven that if we put those into place for first graders, it will help prevent tendencies of anxiety, depression, and substance use into those grades where they're most at risk. So we really want to step back and earlier in prevention, not just school-based, but also community-based, and ultimately strengthening our communities. We know that these issues are impacting crime, emergency rooms, hospital costs, our jails. So hopefully we could stem the tide by passing this issue. Again, we've been quite busy. We've got a lot of good endorsements. This weekend is designated as a weekend of prayer for the impact of addiction on individuals, families, and communities. A letter went out signed by 7 pastors of 6 different churches. We had Reverend Moody Chamberlain, Father Bill Thaden, Marilyn Parker Jeffries, Pastor John Jackson, Reverend Brad Donahue, and Pastors Tim and Dina Williams. It went out to 200 churches. They have a role in this just to pray. One of our task forces in Amherst, once a month, they just do that. They go to a different church in the community just to pray for addiction and its impact. So this is a significant weekend there. I know you have the notice of the drug take-back this Saturday. Every police department will be participating in that. That's another piece that we want to ensure that people understand, getting rid of prescription medications, because we know that 4 out of 5 heroin addicts started with prescription medications. And last spring, there were over 3,100 pounds of pills just taken back in our community. So people can get to the turn-in day this Saturday from 10 to 2. And each department also has a 24/7 drop box on that. So we also, we've been getting endorsements. The Lorain County AFL-CIO Federation of Labor, the UAW 2000 CAP Council, formally Avon Lake, Sheffield Village, and cities of Elyria have formally adopted resolutions in support of the issue. We have 5 other city councils that are in process, Actions Act Planning Board, and we've got a lot of individuals endorsing and supporting this. We have a website, LorainCountyStrong.org, as well as a Facebook page, and it's got just some good interaction and conversation for people if you want to learn more. We're up and going, and it's really been an amazing fall with the conversations we have in every community, and we're just going to keep that going. November 8th is a stop date for elections, but the discussion of what do we do as a community, as a county, to solve this problem together, I think we're just all the better for starting what we put in place. So if you have any questions, I'd be honored to answer them for you.
I was just going to say, we talk about it all the time here at the board meetings about the importance of taking care of our own because Columbus is not doing it.
Right.
And, we hear a good talk about Narcan, and, I was there at the time and all that stuff was moving forward, and it's, it's critical, but you can save a life, but then you still have to put people through treatment and help them to turn their lives around. So, I'll say it, you don't have to say it. Columbus talks a good game about helping with the drug problem, but they're still not taking the action that's needed. And we're sitting on a $2 billion surplus rainy day fund there in Columbus. We need the help here. But, Columbus is not helping us, folks, and we have to help our own, take care of our own families and our loved ones. And very troubled by some of the comments I'm hearing of people saying, why should we help these people? They're being reckless and irresponsible and not responsible, but the reality is this is somebody's son or daughter or husband, wife, brother, sister, whatever it may be, a loved one, and we have to help them turn their lives around and be productive members of society.
Absolutely, and it's not easy. There won't be one treatment episode that will put a person into recovery. Most often it is going to be a couple or more treatment episodes, but we've got to do that the right way, and we can't just cycle people through process-based treatment. It has to be individualized, and Narcan, the best conversation we have now is that it gives a person another day to make a decision. They're alive. And so hopefully we can get in front of them and get in front of this. So
No, you built a great coalition, Elaine. You guys are doing a great job.
Thanks.
I hear about it out in the community. So
thank you very much.
Good
And
luck.
thank you.
It's touched a lot of lives, so, I mean, everybody's talking about, no matter where we go,
Right.
whatever forum we're in, that's the topic that people want to discuss, you know?
Yeah.
So, I think it's touched a lot of lives. I think you have a good chance of
Yeah.
passing this. It's needed. And I think besides the Narcan, another really good tool we have is the Vivitrol. And it would be nice if we can get some laws changed to be able to administer that, whether they
In the right places.
want it or not.
Yes.
Just because it gives them an opportunity to clear-headedly, you know, try to get treatment and get into recovery.
Yeah.
And I do have a check for you, so if you want to
Thank
come
you.
up here and grab it real quick.
Absolutely.
Before you leave. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Elaine.
Okay, thank you, Elaine.
Okay, thanks.
Up next, we'd like to invite Jennifer Kennedy, who's our interim director with the Visit Lorain County. Been doing great work and amazing work. We want to update the community on the progress that we're making there. Just can't say enough good things about the work that you've been doing, but we need to tell the public about what you are doing, and so we appreciate you being here today for an update.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here today. I was last here this summer, and I was talking to you a little bit about what we were doing to prepare for the RNC coming into town. I'm going to recap a little bit about what we did this summer. I'm going to focus on what we did in the fall, and then really what I want to focus on is what I'm calling our pillars or our fundamentals. There's some things that we're doing to grow. So we, as you know, when I was here, we aggressively marketed Lorain County to capture people that were in town for the RNC and then people that lived in the Cleveland area. And that we were trying to hope that they would stay away from downtown and actually come to us. So what I did was I actually went back and I touched base with some of the people that we were promoting, some of the restaurants, the fine dining, and actually they were able to say that they saw about approximately a 25% increase in traffic in July, and specifically during that week. They said they saw a lot of business meetings, so people were taking their business meetings to Lorain County restaurants during the day. Also, we were able to look at the hotels. We saw about approximately a 25% increase in traffic in hotels in Lorain County during the month of July. So those were some successes that we had during July. Also, when I was here, one of the first things I talked about was a shift towards more digital advertising. You know, the first place people are looking now for vacation planning or trip ideas or weekend getaways is online. So you're going to see much more of a presence there online. Also, what I was doing is going out and making a conscious effort to establish relationships with all of our members, the different hotel and the different accommodation properties, really making sure that they knew what our role was. And what I found was that there was some confusion on what they felt our role was. So I was able to have some of those conversations. Now, it's a long process. We have a lot of members, so I haven't completed it, but it's something that I'm continuously doing.
I was going to say, we have some nice new hotels coming into the county, and that should be a real attraction for people wanting to stay in those hotels.
Yes, and they're really anxious about the ability to partner. And you'll kind of see that as I talk a little bit further. The other thing that I worked on this summer is developing a database of people that want to come to Lorain County. And please forgive me for using the word database because it sounds so cold, but these are people that contact us and have been contacting us and say, hey, I'm interested about learning about Lorain County. And in the past, we just sent them something and we didn't continue that dialogue. Well, that's a really important conversation because as you know, even buying a pair of shoes, it's something that you may have a continuous dialogue you think about, and then you go back and you think about it a little bit more. We need to continue to have a dialogue with folks that are interested in traveling to Lorain County. So here in the fall, what we did was we were actually focusing on the adult leisure traveler. One of the things that we found in the summer that rated really high in terms of what people were searching for were things to do with their family in Lorain County. In the fall, that changes the equation a little bit more. There's a lot of fall sports. We're tied up in school. So we looked at the adult leisure traveler. And we specifically targeted our audience based on our Google Analytic data. If you're familiar, I'll just give you 30 seconds. Google Analytics is some code that you put into your website so I can actually see who's coming to Visit Lorain County, where they're coming from, how old they are, where their IP address is located. So that was something that I did over the summer that really gives us a little bit more data about who's interested in Lorain County and specifically what they're interested in. So we were able to take that information and make more educated decisions. Then I actually developed 4 different ads with 3 different packages, kind of getaway packages. And the reason we did so many different things was to test. Again, this is all helping us build data to see what tests well, what doesn't test so well, what do people like, what images people like. Believe it or not, that all matters. And we can monitor that now. And then we also included that opportunity for people to say, hey, I want to continue a dialogue with you. So just going to run through these really quick, but you can see we targeted, based on our Google Analytics, we looked at adults 35 to 60 living approximately 2.5 hours south of Lorain County. For some reason, when we looked at our data, Columbus was huge, huge. So it's just far enough that they'll come, maybe play all day, golf all day, visit our wineries, stay the night, and then head home. So it's a very easy weekend getaway package. And so you can see, this is to get a little geeky on you with my marketing, the benchmark for tourism is approximately 0.28% there. So our click-through rate is the number of times people are clicking on our ads and getting to our page is surfacing about 4 times higher. So what we did was we worked with our local hotels or accommodations, worked with some golf courses and our local wineries to make a nice little weekend getaway. We did the thinking for our potential visitors. And we packaged them together and promoted them on Facebook. So you see here's the hotel at Oberlin. Also, we did River Dog Retreat, which is kind of the more quiet, secluded getaway. Then we promoted wineries in general, which actually received our highest click-through rate. So what that told us was people are really interested in coming and having wine here in Lorain County. And then we also did one of our new hotels, the Residence Inn in Avon there, and we paired them up with Redtail, who was nice enough to give us some golf passes in the promotion. Additionally, we went and did an email blast to about 50,000 people in that same demographics, same location, all promoting our packages. And instead of just sending them, when they click on these links or when they show interest, instead of just sending them to our website, what we did was we actually designed a very special page, which we call a landing page. And what that allows us to do is actually basically catch the traffic in a net. So we're sending them to a very specific page that helps us monitor where they go, how long they go, and where they go from there. It also makes it really easy for them to say, oh, here's what they were telling me about. I want to buy it. So we're just trying to make it really simple for our users. And again, allow us to catch the data to help us be more educated in who we're targeting and why and what they're interested in. So in addition to getting some of those efforts for the summer and the fall off the ground there, what we really have been looking at is more of the strategic or the fundamental things that Visit Lorain County needs to prepare for growth. Some of these things are a little bit more tactical, where we're just executing them, but we really need some of the meatier things that are going to make a difference. What can we do that best serves our visitors? I've actually been taking the lens, not so much of the organization or the members, but really of how are we going to get people here and what's important to them. Because the other ones all kind of fall in line with when we're looking at it from our visitors' lens. So these are the fundamental building blocks, and I'm just going to run through them and I'm going to provide a little bit more detail. But a new mobilely enhanced website. I use my phone for everything, and our Google Analytics data is saying that our visitors to our website are doing the same thing. So we're creating a new website, and in this new website, it's really going to be focused on the mobile user as well. Now, it can be used for a desktop or a tablet, but it's really going to be focused on those people on the go. Also, we're developing a special software that allows us to keep track of these conversations. This is so important for us. And it's actually, to tell you the truth, it's industry standard, something that we don't have. And I'll go into a little bit more detail about why that's important. And then also an enhanced visitor's guide with an easier to use digital component. So imagine going to the website, finding that digital guide, and being able to click on that organization that you want to visit all within one click. We don't have that right now. Thank you to Ed from Emerge, who is here. Today we are working with Emerge, located in Avon Lake, who is helping us create that mobilely enhanced website. What we're looking for is something that's easier to navigate, something that's more intuitive and easier for people to find activities or even packages. You know, like I said, when we were looking at things to do in Lorain County, that's people are Googling that. We see that. But our website doesn't think like that. It more thinks about find the vendor and then look, or maybe you can go to the calendar events, but it takes 3 or 4 clicks to get there. So that's something that we're just basically rebuilding and really thinking about the end user. Also, I know that a lot of times when I'm planning a weekend getaway, especially with my family, do the thinking for me. Perfect, that one sounds good. I'll just do that. You know, so we're really going to focus on working with all of our partners and members and building packages. Let's help people know what there is to do in Lorain County. Come, golf, wine, whatever it is, shop all day. You know, try our fine dining restaurants. Let's all work together. So more cohesively work together to build these packages. And then also we're going to look at the segments. Like I already talked about some of the different market verticals, the families, the adult leisure travelers, you know, the sports conferences. We're going to also kind of build our website that helps people find their target niche a little bit better. And this is just a very simple mock-up that Ed and his team created, but you can see it's going to be a little bit easier to navigate. It's going to be, Ed and I kind of laughed about this, but it's going to actually be a little bit more hipper, so that we'll be able to connect social media and work a little bit better together as a county. When I talk about our customer relationship management software, as I said, this is something that most CVBs already have. And what this is a software that allows us to track every interaction with every member, every potential visitor, every potential group. It allows us to track inventory in and out. So right now it's me and Nicole saying, yeah, we got 50. We have 30 left. Can you count them? Can you take 20 here? When we're talking about paper materials. It's just really an antiquated, cumbersome process. And in fact, we looked through the records, and if we were going to take a membership application, it had to be touched 6 times prior to. This will allow us to touch it once. It reduces error, and it actually allows us to automatically send out invoices, automatically notate payments. And the part I like the best is it actually allows us to push out RFPs to our accommodations. So for instance, if we know that something big is coming into town, I can then take that RFP, push it out to all of the hotels or bed and breakfasts. Then I can actually track, they read it, they declined it because they had another party. They read it, they declined it because they couldn't accommodate. They read it, they accepted it, and they submitted their proposal. That's huge. That creates mutual accountability on everybody's part. It helps very easily track progress. So this is something that I was the biggest advocate for. It seems simple, but it's huge in terms of how we operate. Our new visitors guide. In the past, this was something that was done in-house. That includes the graphic design, the writing, all the ad sales, all of the photography. That itself is a full-time job. So we've actually partnered with a company, and this is all that they do. So they're going to actually work with our partners. They're going to go out with ad sales. They're going to take some of the pictures that we have, as well as some other pictures, and they're going to create a digital guide that we can put on our website. Not something that you have to wait to download and then print out to look at. It's something that has live clicks in it. So it's better for our membership. It's much better for our users, and it's a lot less burden on our team. And not burden in the fact that it's a pain, but burden in the fact that it's just, we want to focus on other things. So, and they have a really cool Go Guide, which is the one online. So in terms of what's ahead, what we're focusing on, I shared the 3 big initiatives, but this is where I kind of call it the shift, is the way we're looking at things, or the way I like to pride myself on looking at things, is we're becoming more data-driven. So we're not just spending money in one area because we heard that that's where the traffic's coming from. we're starting to look at where the interest is coming from. We're building that database. We're overlaying that with the data that we're collecting through Google Analytics and through our Facebook ads. And we're going to be able to know what's generating traffic here. And that will help us be more impactful. Also, in the past, what they've done is a little ad in this and a little ad in that and a little ad in that. Well, really, that's diluting our message. So, I talked a lot about that digital advertising. I want to be able to go forward and be more impactful with those dollars as opposed to spreading them out and diluting them. Right now, I'm in the process of working on a seasonal calendar, something that it's going to be our roadmap for the next year. I've been working with a lot of different people, very closely with the metro parks, which is a huge asset. And those are things that draw people, especially when you heard me talk about families. And we're looking at, staycation ideas, what people can do. So, looking at how we can best work with our partners, get people here to the area to stay and to play and to have fun. We're also working on generating some activities. I've been working on bringing races to the area, bus tours, sporting tournaments. And then I think the last most important thing is working together. That's one of the biggest areas that I see as an opportunity, is to work together, to be more seamless. There's organizations that say, I didn't know that this was what you were here for. And we can really have a nice opportunity to work together and create a stronger movement. So I think that that's the biggest area that I'm going to be working on, is getting the right people all together and working together.
We talk a little bit about two issues. One, the new ads, how we're bundling the ads for more value in the visitor's guide. We just recently come to some conclusion on that. I was very pleased. Can you explain that a little bit?
Sure. In terms of the new visitor's guide, what we actually did is we took a little different twist this year. And in the past, where members were asked to advertise in the visitor's guide and then buy a membership, and then let's talk about your digital advertising. It was just a lot of fragment. So this time, with the new visitor guide partnership, we were actually able to look at this collectively and say, you know what? If you advertise with us in the visitor's guide, that will include your membership. And that will also include an opportunity to be on the website. So then we're having one conversation as opposed to multiple conversations. And it's just a better deal for our members. It's a better deal for us.
Well, actually, it's a little bit of a cost shift, but it also provides greater value for their membership rather than a shotgun approach. The other thing with the visitor's guide, can we have a little bit of discussion on how we're driving down the cost of the visitor's guide so we can allocate resources to other important issues? Because I think the visitor's guide was very expensive and a lot of time was spent on it. It was a beautiful publication, so I don't want to diminish that. I always thought it was nice, but there was an excessive amount of expense in personnel, capital resources, and also in funding. Can we speak to that a little bit?
Yes, when we were able to look at the records, it just, the previous model did not make sense. It was, like I said, a lot of, so much staff time. It actually involved 3 different staff members and a good chunk of their position doing that. Additionally, the dollar signs behind printing the number of visitors' guides made my heart jump a little bit. So what we're actually partnering with the organization that we partnered, again, this is all they do. That to me made a huge difference. This is their area of expertise. Allows us to work with their other clients and drive down some of that printing costs, which printing is a big expense. Additionally, what they're doing is all of the ads that they generate, all the sales from the ads that they generate, then goes to us to help drive down the price of the visitor's guide. So we're able to offset the visitor's guide price significantly.
I think we anticipate probably reducing the cost by about 60% or more.
And I would say that that's just a hard number, not including the soft staff time.
Right. I think I'm being kind, but we can allocate those resources someplace else. There's very limited resources in the Visitors Bureau to begin with. So I think you're going to see a whole new revamp. It's going to look really, really sharp. The last thing I'd like to discuss while you're here is your recent conversations with the crushers and and what's going on with that. I was a little saddened by that whole thing, and I'm glad you're in front of it. But we're a couple of years out being able to turn it around. Can you talk to the board a little bit about what you discovered there?
Sure. The Crushers, it's an awesome thing for the county. The MAC baseball championship is held at the Crusher Stadium in May. And they got the contract in 2015. And wow, that's awesome. So I started doing a little research and contacted the MAC and found out, because of course I started doing the math and saying, wow, the number of hotel rooms between the team, the coaches, the trainers, the parents, the students, that's a big win for us. This is great. Can we start submitting RFPs? Can my hotel start submitting RFPs now for the rooms? And I did find out that there's already a contract until 2019, then we can apply for it, for those rooms to be held in Cuyahoga County. So the team comes in, plays at the Crusher Stadium here in the county, but the beds are in Cuyahoga County. And as everyone here knows, that is how the Visitors Bureau gets stronger. So there's a lot of things that I don't know with that, but what I do know is that I made a phone call to the MAC, and we're going to be meeting and talking about how we can bid on those rooms the minute they're available. Additionally, what are the opportunity for the parents that may not be a part of those block of rooms to stay here? Because we want them to play here, but they need to stay here too.
I was a little, like I said, saddened. The Crushers here, they need our support here. They need the residents' support there. Their draw area isn't that huge, so they require a lot of local support, and I felt that we didn't get the local support here because not only is it the bed tax we don't get, the hotels don't get the occupancy rate they need to make them successful, and we don't get the trickle-down spending that we would have if they're staying at our local hotels here in Lorain County. And we have to partner better. But people have to help us that need our help. I'm just a little surprised that they didn't reach out to Lorain County hotels. They could have easily have done that, even absent the Visitors Bureau being involved. But those are issues that are going to be tackled. Greater understanding and appreciation of collaborations that we need to make this success. I can only tell the board that I'm really, really happy with the progress that Jen's been bringing to the Visitors Bureau. I've been working with her, and she keeps me informed of almost everything, more stuff than I really want to know, to be honest with you. But I think we're on the right path. I hope you agree.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Just the energy alone, plus all the, we're moving into this century with all the digital technology and that we weren't utilizing before. So I'm really excited about what we're going to be doing with you going forward.
This is how it's supposed to be, not in this day and age. This isn't 1970 anymore. So great job.
Yeah.
It's all digital.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I want to thank you for all that you're doing. I felt like the previous direction was all print-driven, and nothing against print, but the digital age is here, and it's the direction we need to go. People are moving fast. They want their information quickly, and as you said, I'm the same way. If you're going to offer me a package A, B, or C, and you've done all the work for me, believe me, I'm going to pick one of the packages instead of having to drill down and do all the work. I got plenty of other things to focus on, but you're doing a great job with that. I also just wanted to stress, I guess, I've been a season ticket holder with the Crushers since season 1, and previous owner didn't connect, I don't think, very well with the fans and the fan base, and so I guess I want us to drill down a little bit more. I know the new owner, Tom Cramming, he seems like he's certainly a lot more focused on the community, and I'm sure that if that was orchestrated, through the Crushers organization, that Tom, as I said to you, we need to go have a meeting with him, and I'm sure we can get that worked out. I don't know if that was a MAC conference decision or the team. I'm not even sure where the visiting teams stay when they come in. Not that these ball players that play in the Frontier League make much money, but certainly it's nice to have people occupying our beds, that's for sure. So I think we'll need to, follow up and have more conversation with that. But I wanted to ask you about, I was kind of intrigued by when I attended some of the early board meetings when we were finally allowed to have some seats on the board again. It seemed like they were indicating that most of the traffic was coming in from Cuyahoga or it was coming in from the Pittsburgh area. And so I guess I was a little intrigued by, I didn't hear much talk about Columbus. I kept hearing about Pittsburgh and Cuyahoga County. And did you find any relevance for that? Or?
I'm glad you asked.
Okay.
Number one, I should be really clear that our single source of traffic biggest source of traffic is from Lorain County.
Okay.
Secondly is Columbus. Third is Massachusetts.
Massachusetts.
We are working on trying to figure out where. We don't know.
I thought it was Boston.
Yeah, Boston.
Ed was just there, so he was
I
out.
just left Boston from a conference this past week.
So
And
it was
to watch
Ted
the
doing it from
No, to
Boston.
watch the Tribe game. We're sitting in a hotel watching a Tribe game. There'd be 25 people who originally started from Ohio, and you would not believe the amount of Oberlin residents who live in Boston. Wow. It was unbelievable, because we have a friend of our daughter's who lives there who's from Oberlin, and the reason he left here to work, he worked for Highland, he moved up to Boston, because he wanted to change the scenery. The amount of Oberlin population in Boston, he said, was just amazing. It was like going back to college with all the people he knew. So I couldn't believe we're in the middle of a hotel, know nobody, and there's 25 people who, talking through the game, actually had a tie-in to Northeast Ohio.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, maybe that offers some explanation for it. But I do know that majority of the dollars, or a good bucket of dollars that was planned and spent before I came on board, was spent in the Pittsburgh area. Now, I got Google Analytics up somewhere in the summer, but from that information, I was able to track 42 people that have visited 42 unique people that have visited our website from Pittsburgh. So, and I've also met with some of my colleagues in the area who also said, you know, from our research we found targeting Pittsburgh, those folks actually end up in Erie, visiting Erie, because it's got some attraction to the lake. So what I know is that we're not garnering a huge interest of people coming from Pittsburgh.
I guess that's good since you're a Browns fan and not a Steelers fan. But we're going to have more traffic on our website. But as Jen's been doing, we have to provide value content for them to come and spend some time there. And as the popularity grows, since the conversation has drifted there with where we're getting hits from, why don't we talk about our Facebook social media presence that we've done with the direct ads and the placements that we did over. Can you explain that a little bit more?
Well, Facebook is the biggest hangout pretty much ever. So we have made a conscientious effort to be on Facebook. Now our organic posts, we are organically posting, meaning we're posting ourselves.
And that for record, they did have a Facebook page for us, so this is not a marvelous new thing that they didn't have. They did have it, but you've taken it to the next level with regard to how we're using it. That's where I wanted to go. Thank you.
Yes, they are. They had. I have to say they had been doing a nice job and had a presence on all of the social media. What we've just done is done our own posts, partnering with other folks, with other members, and then additionally we've incorporated our ads in there so that we're getting the traffic and we're seeing consistent traffic in terms of timing and everything about when we're posting. And we're really trying hard to keep relevant, but at the same time, some of the things. We had to focus on some of the big building blocks, too.
Now, we dropped some social media presence because of really, you can't be big on every one of them. So we've narrowed the approach to the top. And they were actually on every little social media possible. And it's a very time-consuming undertaking. So we're concentrating on which ones?
Right now, we're concentrating on Facebook and Instagram. I do expect us to come back and be on more and be able to integrate so that we're crossing the same message or tweaking the message. However, like I said, what I wanted to do was make sure some of that fundamental building block was there so that we're not driving people to a website that they would get lost and frustrated really quickly.
And of course, Ed, you redid the website for us and redid the look from Merges managing the website with you. Is that correct?
They are. We're in the process right now of redoing the website. So
Okay.
We're doing the mapping and doing all the fun nitty-gritty stuff right now. So.
And we're going to update the brand a little bit?
That is something that we have been in discussion with, and actually that's the hardest part of some of this is defining that brand. And that is actually, I said it's a really nice project for me to be working on right now as the weather gets colder, is defining our brand and being able to punch out our brand image and then execute that on all of these new platforms.
Yeah, I just, I was looking under the branding, and we have North Central Ohio, I think, right underneath our logo, and I almost think we should be talking about Ohio's lakefront or Lakefront Ohio or something like that. North Central Ohio just doesn't do anything for me as far as connecting, but when you start mentioning that, hey, I can have access to the lake, and that's one of the huge advantages that that we certainly have by being a lakefront community. And I know we've also talked about wanting to reach out to our restaurant community and maybe helping eventually facilitate some restaurant association and really start promoting our restaurants as well too. We've got some great restaurants here in the county, so lots of areas for us to grow and improve. And unfortunately, and the compass with the previous group was set in one direction, and the compass needle didn't move. And I'm just really thrilled and excited about the new direction we're going. Good job.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Jen.
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jen.
Nice presentation, too.
Doing good work in Lorain County.
Mm-hmm.
Get things done.
That's right.
I guess we got to pay some bills now. Is that it? Almost like a commercial break on TV. Got to pay some bills.
Under Resolutions Number 1, Investments,
So move.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Lundy,
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Appropriations,
So move.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Lundy,
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Transfers,
So move.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Lundy,
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
No advances, no repayments, requisitions.
So move.
Second.
Discussion.
There was one requisition that was not on the sheet, but it was in the folder. I called Casey yesterday. I didn't get a return call. I think it was 1025 or something.
Oops, sorry. This one?
Let me see. Is that 25?
This is 3-4 and 3-5.
Or maybe they pulled it out.
There's no 2-5 on here.
Okay, maybe you took it out then. Good.
The,
Yeah, there is one that
well, there's
No,
one,
I'll go.
I removed it. I have
Be
some
held.
things I have to do with it.
follow up on.
So I'm sorry I've created the confusion, but I need to do a little work on that
Okay.
before it gets processed.
All right.
Thank you.
Sure.
Mr. Lundy,
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Travel,
So move.
Second.
discussion. Mr. Lundy,
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Bills,
So move.
Second.
discussion. Mr. Lundy,
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Under the Commissioners, authorize various personnel actions as indicated on the summary sheet for employees within jurisdiction of Lorain County Commissioners.
Administrator Cortez.
Thank you, Commissioner. I do have a couple potential hires I'd like to talk with the board about at the collection center. Just some updates on applications I've received at the Visitors Bureau, for the Visitors Bureau. And also have a request to begin the negotiation process with the Teamsters with regard to the Record Center. I want to talk a little bit about that. I don't anticipate a lot of work there, but we do have to address the contract there. As you remember, they used to be a big part of Lorain County when Golden Acre was open. They had the big units out there, but now they're down to the Record Center. But I want to update you on that and the potential sale of real estate. All those topics are allowable under the Sunshine Act for executive session discussion. So I'd ask at the conclusion of our regular board meeting this morning that we go into executive session and talk about those items. Thank you.
Approve and waive the reading of the minutes of October 12th.
So move.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Lundy,
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Accept the amended changes to the Code of Regulations for NOACA to provide an additional 2 seats to the City of Cleveland, bringing total board membership to 47 through the 2020 decennial census.
So move.
Second.
Discussion.
Yeah, if
You
I
wanna-
stood on this, yeah, some fill-in. Lorain County is one of 5 counties as a member of NOACA, our Metropolitan Planning Organization. In the old days, for those of you who might have been around, like Mr. Kleiber, there was a major change to the governing board to eliminate the weighted vote. And the weighted vote at that point gave commissioners from Cuyahoga County a 4-to-1 every time they voted. Their vote counted for 4 because we had a smaller board. In that reorganization, eliminating the weighted vote, we expanded the size of the board and changed the rules that upon the census, the board makeup would change depending on where our population live, because that's the mandate of how NOACA decides board seats. There were a lot of changes at that time. Actually, Mayor Grace at the time was chairman of NOACA, was board president of NOACA, and he had worked on that part, and there was a part of it that said you would rechange it based on every decennial census. Well, in 2012, 2013, with some strife on the board at the time, that part got missed, so we never addressed the issue. Geauga County, who has the least amount of seats on the board, brought a question up about a year and a half ago asking about getting more board representation. And as we went back through the bylaws, because every time you change a bylaw within an organization, it normally has a rippling effect. And since I've become the governance chair for the last 3 years, I've had the opportunity to work on our bylaws. And we have a couple, Section 9 and Section 4, that requires ratification from all 5 counties to make any changes to our bylaws. Brokering through meetings and the governing board, it was sent out to the 5 counties to vote on to just give Cleveland the 2 seats currently and then reconvene for the 2020 census, which will be about 2021, 2022, to refigure what the board makeup is going to be. So if more people move to Medina that leave Cuyahoga or Lorain, or more people move here, the board seats will fluctuate as it should. So this is just our action to approve or disapprove the realignment until we get to the next census. So hopefully we can get ratification from all 5 counties, even though I'm not very certain that will happen.
I was going to say miracle worker, right?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, well, thank goodness we got rid of the weighted vote. You know, that was an issue that came up when we were trying to get the Lear-Nagle interchange put in there in Avon. I remember going down there as a state rep at the time talking about how we talk about regionalism. We just don't practice it when it comes time to do it. And thank goodness we got rid of the weighted vote. Obviously, you know, I've been supportive of making sure these additional seats are there for Cleveland, but also we're a growing county, and I would think that things will work out favorably for us next time around. Unfortunately, the one county in the mix isn't interested in being a much of a team player, I guess you could say, or seeing things through a regional lens. So we'll go through the formality, I guess, of the process. I don't know if I'm terribly optimistic. Unless you are a magician these days and can pull a rabbit out of your head on this one, it may be tough to get it approved.
Well, we're doing our part.
Okay.
Madam Clerk?
Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Notify Lorain County Harbor, Inc., DBA Genesis House, for a shelter for victims of domestic violence, that they are eligible for release of funds in the estimated amount of $85,000 collected as part of marriage license fees and annulments, divorces or dissolutions pursuant to ORC Sections 2301.201 and 311.33 through 39.
So move.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Under Community Development, award various contracts for homeowners to receive grant assistance from CHIP Program Year 14 home repair activity, which includes contingency for any unforeseen change orders paid from the CHIP home repair. 1, Green Home Solutions Cleveland, the amount of $10,972 for Corrine Tursack at 149 Forest Street, Wellington, for roof replacement, gutters, downspouts, and fascia repair. Also to Green Home Solutions Cleveland, the amount of $2,475 for excuse me, Georgina Bowl at 321 Deepwood Lane, Amherst, for exterior window and door replacement. Also to Green Home Solutions Cleveland, the amount of $3,520 for Mario and Donna Villa at 5423 Barkwood, Sheffield Village, for exterior door replacement. Green Home Solutions Cleveland, the amount of $4,724 for Meg Rusnak at 250 Belmar Boulevard, Avon Lake, for water heater exhaust fan. And also Concrete and More Inc., Avon Lake, in the amount of $5,024 for Annie Winch at 218 Brookfield Road, Avon Lake, for separation of storm sanitary sewer lateral.
So move.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
We're also going to award various contracts for homeowners to receive grant assistance from the CHIP Program Year 14 home repair activities, which includes contingencies. 1, Gen Men Construction, Lorain, in the amount of $7,381 for Terry and Jennifer Weiss at 1633 School Street, Sheffield Township, for home repair work. Gen Met Construction, Lorain, in the amount of $6,655 for Michael R. Lime at 187 Belmar Boulevard, Avon Lake, for crawl space installation. George's Roofing, Leary, in the amount of $14,000 for Thomas Bungard at 183 North Pleasant Street, Overland, for roof replacement and soffit and fascia repair. And JD Indoor Comfort Sheffield in the amount of $5,055 for Joyce Scott at 128 Magyard Street, Wellington, for furnace and water heater.
So move.
Second.
Discussion.
Just want to say I'm glad to see some local vendors coming through on this one. I know the previous one, there's a multitude of projects going to a Cleveland company, but as we've said before, we try to reach out as much as we possibly can for other vendors to do the work. I know this is one Cleveland company, the previous one, if you add them up, it's over $20,000 worth of work that also, I guess, could have potentially gone to some local companies if they would have stepped in or stepped up for it. But once again, we're trying all the outreach we can, and it's just a matter of businesses being willing to participate. And we'll walk them through the process, so contact us in community development.
Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Under Job and Family, authorized purchase service agreement with Brian Kyle's Construction for snow plowing, salting services for fiscal federal year 17, amount $19,500, effective November 1st, 2016 through April 30th, 2017, and authorized director to execute on behalf of the board with prosecutor's approval as to form.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Under the Port Authority, provide for guarantee of the payment of the principal and interest by Lorain County on the issuance and sale of bonds by the Lorain County Port Authority for the benefit of Lorain County Land Reutilization Corporation.
So move.
Second.
Discussion.
Mr. Cortez, number 15, about the Port Authority.
Sorry,
That's
I was
okay.
reading on debt limitations from Moody's. My apologies. I got it right
The
here.
issue with bonds for the Lorain County Port Authority.
In fact, I was just reading about some problems we have with future debt that we can issue, but right now we're okay. While these are obligations of the Port Authority, they reflect on the county's GO bonding. As such, we have to go to a rating presentation, so I had these bonds rated and did the presentation along with the county's renewal of several outstanding notes that accompanied that. This is mainly all land bank work. We haven't gone to final financing on the match money for the program from the AG's office that we did a couple years ago. Notes are very attractive, so we're still floating in notes and recapitalizing the interest. I anticipate permanent financing sometime next year. We made some of these notes callable so that when the market is at its ripest, we can retire some of this debt and go to long-term financing. The market just isn't really moving, and its short-term is more attractive right now, but eventually, when we think that the trend's going to change, we need to be flexible enough to get into fixed financing. So this is just routine. We've done it every year.
I was just going through, as I was reading through the Moody's report, to add to it, I was going to put it in my report, but actually, they said they've kept us at our rating, no downgrade, but they have some concerns.
They have some
They
concerns.
have some concerns, credit challenges, moderate reliance on economically sensitive sales tax revenues, especially in late next year's Medicaid issue, and then inconsistent voter approval history for sales tax measures.
I like how they wrote that.
Yeah.
It's not inconsistent.
It's
They always say no.
It's consistently no.
Consistently no.
So, I mean, those are issues before us, and then we talk about the tax base valuation declining throughout the county. So we haven't had an increase there with the tax base.
Well-
They didn't give us an outlook, though.
They haven't given outlooks for a while. They've stopped doing that. I haven't seen an outlook for about 4 years now. I think they indicate that they're not giving an outlook because we're not usually in debt, given the relative size of the county. We have about 31 to 35 million in
34.5, I think, is the
But
number.
some-
35.4.
and some of that is revenue bonding. So
Right.
I think the outstanding liability to the GO is around 31 to 32. Those are just macro figures off the top of my head, which is relatively low for a county of our size. We're incurring more debt now, but we historically, as we've discussed many times out here, we
paid
budgeted for our capital needs. We saved money for 2 or 3 years, and we paid cash for those capital needs. Recently, though, we found ourselves not capable of doing that for the last several years. But I will tell you that while we maintained our rating, and our rating is a solid performance, it could be high, but generally speaking, we're right in the upper end of where counties are with regard to that. They're really concerned. They're concerned with the negative cash flow that we've been experiencing the last 2 years. although through explanation that we understand what we're doing. This is not an unexpected event that just landed on us. We've done a strategic drawdown of carryover funds. We're about as far down as we can go right now with these folks. What's shored you up in your bond rating is that you still carry emergency powers legislatively, should the county tank any further, to be able to address that with revenue enhancement moves. They see that as something that has value to being able to stabilize the structure of county government. So they do take that into account favorably. One of the things I'm going to probably be talking with you about maybe as soon as next week is just how much debt can be issued in Lorain County. There's a thing called indirect debt. The 10 mills limitation is significant because after the entire county with overlapping subdivisions reaches 10 mills, you have to now move into a different environment of pledged revenues, pledged sales tax. Even if you have GEO available, we have plenty of GEO available, but there's only about 1.8, 1.6 left under the 10 mills for the entire Lorain County. All the debt in Lorain County for all overlapping political jurisdictions now stands at about $500 million. And that has a significant impact because that's considered unvoted tax that needs to be by a higher vote revised code pledged first to debt service. Avon's been issuing a lot of debt. They've been growing a lot. And the city of Lorain has issued a lot of debt. The city of Lorain right now is the number one. But a relatively small jurisdiction can issue a lot of debt, and it impacts us in an indirect manner. I did meet with representatives of Avon when they did their last issuance, and we did talk about the capacity under the 10 mills with the inside millage. And I recognized that it was going to have a significant impact on us. And this was a little while back. But now that we find ourselves in an area where we're doing some large borrowing ourselves, we're going to have to be very, very cautious. I will tell you that inside millage, even though you're familiar that it's proportioned to each jurisdiction, that proportion doesn't cap the borrowing underneath that and indirect debt for all the political subdivisions. It's first come, first served. And we are starting to reach ceilings in that, and I don't see any less debt being issued. And don't misunderstand that. That's also JBS, that's school districts, so there's a lot of folks in that mix. So we're going to have to start strategically looking at where we want to be and how we want to be there before that capacity is completely consumed. I'm concerned, but more to come on that. I'm glad we maintained our rating, but if things don't change in the revenue, that's going to be the last time we see this.
Is it possible for that 10 mills to be increased, or does that go by population?
It goes by total county valuation, and right now the total county valuation, I think, is, well, I thought I just had it somewhere. It's in the billions, so it's a percentage of the total valuation. Remember, we had
that 10 mills doesn't move, it can't move?
It moves with the valuation of the county. So the reevaluation, though, the most recent reevaluation actually dropped. Remember, we saw a drop in the valuation.
Right,
so
the tax base, that's one of their credit challenges is a tax-based valuation in regards to borrowing.
Right. So all these things come into play. I don't want to make it sound overly complicated. It's just that as the county grows and matures, these are issues that we have to wrestle with and how we want to take the look forward over the next few years. And it's not just us that's going to be in that situation. As our internal communities grow, they're going to need to do financing for certain needs to grow those communities properly. So how we all do that is going to be interesting, and I think there's going to be more than ample dialogue that has to be had to do this correctly together.
Right, because all these municipalities or townships they don't have to come to us to say they're issuing debt.
They do not. It was a courtesy with Avon. It was a while back. I can't recall just how far back, but it was a courtesy visit by them because they were issuing quite a bit of debt. Now, just not to alarm people, they're doing well in Avon, and their debt management is fine. It's just that they were taking a huge chunk. They're a smaller community still, even though they're growing, but they were taking a huge chunk of the inside millage. And what they do is they project that out to a certain date. So they look at all the debt issuance out to a certain date. It's kind of, I call it the worst case scenario that they use. These are things we have not had to worry about before. It's been a flat field. We just borrowed money when we needed to. The future things that we do, for instance, if we were going to do a jail, or as we know, we talked about a few years ago, the economy crashed and we stopped talking about a new jail. At that point, it was what?
$55
$60 million for a new jail. That conversation still has to be had. Right. The jail hasn't improved in 8 years. We just stopped talking about it.
It came up in our public meetings. We've talked about it with the sheriff there.
We've done some capital improvements there. We put them under the umbrella of those capital improvements. But I love that. We stopped talking about it so everybody thinks the problem went away. Not so. But those are going to be, how we finance those things are going to be huge. I'm going to be looking for more federal loan programming that doesn't count against the 10 mills and it doesn't count against our GEO. Again, as I said, we have plenty of GEO, but the 10 mills is what's rubbing us right now. So we did that at Pheasant Run. We brought in that $4 million low-interest loan to deal with the issues down there. We haven't been as reliant on that, but I'm going to be more and more looking for those sources of borrowing so that we at least maintain some capacity. I didn't mean to get too far into that, but thank you for asking.
Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Under the engineer, advertise for furnishing of all labor, material, and equipment for Burzley Road Bridge 0412, Huntington Township. This will to remove existing structure, including foundations and equipment with new. Notice being the Chronicle on the 21st, 28th, and November 4th at 2 p.m. We'll open it on November 16th.
Okay. So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Advertise for furnishing of all labor, material, and equipment for LOR CR 32-2.04 Middle Ridge Road, Amherst Township, approving 0.16 miles by pavement widening, asphalt resurfacing, new curb, new storm sewer intersection and realignment. Notice be in the Journal on October 21st and 28th and open at 3 p.m. on November 16th.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Cortez.
I have no additional comments this morning. Thank you.
Mr. Ennis.
Uh-oh. Looks like he's got a list.
No, I just have one issue of pending litigation to discuss with you in executive session.
Commissioner's report.
Well, let's see. Last Wednesday evening, I attended Evening with the Judges at DeLuca's. It was a nice event. Thursday, the Elyria Democrats had a dinner, and Tom Teodosio, who's running for judge, spoke at that. It was well attended. He did a nice job. And then Friday, I had my NRAC meeting, so I wasn't able to make your alliance meeting because we had to rank 5 projects. We had $2,600,000 available, but the requests were $3.1 million, so we weren't able to fund all 5 projects. We did, however, fund 3 of them. One of them is the Rocky River Corridor Acquisition Phase 1, which was $1,057,000. Plum Creek Preserve, which was $1,020,000. That's in Medina County. And then the third one was Sandy Ridge Reservation Extension Project for $494,000, which is Lorain County Metropolitan Park District. So one of them in Lorain got funded. The other 2 were not in Lorain County, but they were very good projects. Saturday, the American Legion had a spaghetti dinner. They had invited all the residents at Valor Home to attend. They actually went and picked them up and had them come and eat for free there. It was really nice. Tuesday, we had our stormwater meeting. Mr. Cortez, you missed it. It was a good meeting. $1.2 million, or $1.2 million, almost $1.3 million for this year. Next year's just a little bit under that, that we approved yesterday at that meeting. And
I'm sorry I couldn't be there. I had my quarterly Cleveland Clinic visits. But the Stormwater District continues to be a success, great partnership with the townships.
Yeah.
It just proves that people who want to work together can get things done.
Yeah.
I'm really proud of the projects we're doing out there. I was with the county a long time, and we had no ditch maintenance program, no stormwater program, and we did nothing but squabble over flooding and how to do things. Today, we still squabble a little bit, but we're doing a lot.
We're actually working
And you
on
guys
it.
should be very proud of yourself for the leadership you provided, because contrary to what people think out there, there'd be no stormwater district today if it wasn't for the Lorain County Board of Commissioners forming the district and standing into considerable pushback on doing so. But I'm glad you weathered that storm and that we're doing this work.
Yeah. And other than that, I've just been trying to spend my free time at the Board of Elections. A lot of people early voting. Make sure you get out to vote.
Vote often?
Yeah, vote often. So, end of my report.
Yeah, stormwater meeting, nice update, thank you, Don. Also, yesterday was we had our quarterly board meeting in the Lorain County Chamber of Commerce. After much discussion, they've endorsed issue 32 in regards to transportation issues and the business community.
Hey, I wanted to thank Ed when he was here. He was
Yeah.
the chair. I didn't know he was going to leave, and
Me
I
neither.
didn't want to bring it up under the Visitors Bureau, but you know, after considerable conversations, you know, our partners, you know, standing next to us with regard to this, I think they're issuing something to the media with
They
regard.
have a
Yesterday.
letter.
Is
Yeah,
it out
the
already?
letter came out yesterday, yes.
Okay, so it's really pleased that the strength of our long-term partnership with the chamber continues.
Well, the business community, I mean, it's to move people to work, and this is where it was driven from anyway. This wasn't about necessarily seniors or handicap or education. This was a business-pushed issue to move people. And then tying in that, I was in Boston for a conference for 3 days last week. NOACA was selected for the Transportation Leadership Academy, which is under the Federal Highway Administration. 7 MPOs across the country to discuss metrics and performance for transportation. It's Northeast Ohio, Lee County, Florida, the Seattle MPO. And you talk about, they have issues, they have to talk about ferries in regards to their transit.
right.
From Kidnap County over to King County. They actually have to worry about ferry issues, and they have a ballot issue on 3/10
Wow.
sales tax to fund replacement of ferry.
Wow.
So, and then Des Moines, Iowa, their MPO, Boston, of course, Indianapolis, and Gary, Indiana. So it's a nice cross-section of the country with issues. Brought in great speakers, and I'm going to take a little bit longer on the report because there were a lot of things done, especially when we're talking about our transportation issues. We had the Twin Cities were in, doing a presentation, Minneapolis, St. Paul, one of the fastest growing areas in the country, in the top 10, on how they're dealing with the social inclusion and how they're bringing all the groups together to get 2 large cities metropolitan-wise. We worked on discussions on work groups on how we could deal with things, and that's where I talked about a lot of the Lorain County issues, and we were fortunate enough, the gentleman who runs transportation for leadership, James Corliss, actually sat with our table. So we got some good ideas out there that I will share going forward. We got to take a tour of Boston and their issues, very condensed city. The sidewalks are like old brick paths. How they get people in and out there is amazing. But we saw some of their major projects. The Big Dig was on Friday afternoon. That was more engineer people to go see how the Big Dig worked. It wasn't for us electeds necessarily. But the way they've done things, I actually met with the mayor of Somerville, Massachusetts, which is just outside of Boston, the second most congested city after San Francisco. It has 110,000 people in 4 miles, 4 square miles.
110,000.
Everybody's on top of each other, and he said they expect to add another 100,000 residents in the next 20 years. It was interesting to learn how they do things in Boston. But, I mean, this Mayor Curtatone was absolutely unbelievable. We also had a presentation on the Massachusetts, they're called MassDOT. Their director was there, Department of Transportation. Real go-getter lady. She came out of academia, actually. She didn't work for anything that had to do with transportation, except she did it under academics. And a very conservative governor in Massachusetts hired a very liberal transportation expert. So it's really worked well out there. Presentation on how Nashville's dealing with their transportation needs, again, divested out, and they've had some issues. And then on Friday, we talked about, again, more issues facing everybody across the country, a lot of it in regards to economics, funding of the issues that we deal with. And then they did, after that, a big dig in Boston Greenway tour. But did get a chance to see a little bit of Boston, not much because we were working so late, but what a beautiful city. But it is narrow lanes, narrow roads. There's no place to park there. It's just amazing. It's nonstop.
Wouldn't have known you as a country boy, Commissioner.
Hey, boy, Boston was just, I mean, the congestion, condensed. I mean, I was talking to a friend of my daughter's who lives up there, and he's in Watertown outside because some friends of my wife went to Harvard, and he's out that way. And the cost of just living there, the way they stack everybody high, he is part of a 3-person triplex, and you actually own each floor. 1,200 square feet. He and his girlfriend bought it last year, 1,200 square feet, no yard, no driveway, $465K with 2 people living above you.
Wow.
And he's from Lorain, Ohio, where we have yards and drive. He said it's a different type of living, but they have a lot of parks and things like that. But the historical perspective, I mean, a wonderful atmosphere. It was nice to go see everybody get together, and then we'll do probably a finish up in the next month or so, probably by conference call. Unless I want to go to San Diego next month.
Oh, yeah, right, wow.
San Diego's a real happening place.
Oh, La Jolla is unbelievable. George's Restaurant, love La Jolla. All right, we'll get off of that. That's the end of my report.
Yeah, I was going to say, I have a tendency to watch some of those home improvement shows, and when you see people buying properties, and as you stated, whether it's East Coast or West Coast, they end up buying a property, they have no driveway, no garage, no yard, sometimes stacked with another property, and they're still spending $500,000 to get in. And people really don't realize how affordable it is to live in Ohio, in Northeast Ohio. And you know, Lori, used to be in the real estate business. People would come here from the East Coast or West Coast to buy property, and they thought they died and went to heaven. They couldn't believe how much property they would get and how much they could buy for such little money compared to what it is in other parts of the country.
Kidnap County, population 264,000 people. I was talking to one of their commissioners, they've got the one where you have to go by ferry as part of the transit to get to King County, which is Seattle. And they are at 9.7% sales tax, and if this ferry thing goes, it'll be 3/10 more. It'll be at 10% in Kidnap County, Washington.
Wow.
Yeah, I lived in Kitsap for a year and a half.
Did you?
Yeah, lived in Kitsap, over in Port Orchard, Washington. Was in the Birmingham Naval Shipyard there, stationed. Great place, ferries are great to ride. They understand public transportation up there pretty well.
Yes, they do. Actually, I was with the supervisor from the San Francisco MPO.
San Francisco is a great place to take public transportation. They got the trolley cars, the cable cars, the electric buses. They have the subway. You don't even need a car. You can take the subway right out of the airport all
And
the
the
way
whole
downtown.
regional area, though, because he was a supervisor of Marin County, population, I don't know, 300,000, similar to our size, Marin County, extremely rural area with all the wineries, and then they have an urban area also, similar to Lorain County, actually, in our discussion points.
Well, as
How they did it.
as I told you, usually when I visit an area, I take public transportation most places, and it's a real draw for visitors to have that in that downtown, because renting cars and doing that in the inner city is really, really difficult.
Right. So, it was a nice lot of dialogue talking how people do different things, but our tax base here compared to every place else in the country is just 20-30% less. They just
Very affordable.
that's how they fund their issues is with sales taxes. End of my report now. Won't interrupt again.
Very affordable. See, you learn to appreciate what you have when you see what
Always
others have to
have.
put up with,
Always
right?
have.
So, yeah. Just want to, publicly thank the Chamber for their support. You know, the business community strongly realizes the importance of having a stable Lorain County, at the same time making sure that we can get people to work through an effective transit system. So want to very much thank the Chamber for their support. The business community understands the importance of of the question that we're putting before the voters. Want to congratulate all the organizers of the Code Dinner in Elyria. Thought that went very well, as always, over at the Elyria Women's Club. The Lorain County Community Alliance had a great turnout in this room the other week. I want to thank Don Romanchik from Community Development, giving everybody an update on what the county's doing with stormwater, and all the other representatives from the EPA. Even Mayor Gullock gave an update on what some of the municipalities are doing, and also want to inform everybody our window's open for the stormwater grants. I guess that closes deadline in December.
Well, not everybody.
Not everybody.
May I help
for
you
them.
here?
In our district.
In our
Right.
district, and I can narrow that down for you. It's real easy. Townships.
Townships, 18.
Yeah.
18 of them.
How many is that, Mr. Kazura? No.
He was close.
He was close. He was close. So it's townships only. The villages, even though they're surrounded by the townships, are not in the stormwater district. I'm hoping one day that's our first collaboration, having the villages. We are having dialogue with some of them, but for right now, it's simply township, and there is $400,000
$400,000, yes.
available
Yeah.
for grants.
Yeah. Something that used to be $150,000 has grown to $400,000, so there's more opportunities.
Wildly successful program.
Very successful. Attended the Jobs and Family Services Advisory Board meeting the other day, and always amazed by all the work that our devoted and dedicated workers do at Jobs and Family Services, even though the state puts the bar so high that not even the best Olympic athlete could get over it. But our folks show up every day and help to serve a lot of families and help get people back on track. As was pointed out earlier, I guess we have this unused prescription drug collections taking place on Saturday. It's part of a national initiative. In fact, I finally cleared out some stuff from underneath my medicine cabinet. Thank goodness I've been in good health. But boy, you realize when you take those to a collection center just how many pills are prescribed to you and how few you actually use, and how many can actually be in a medicine cabinet for, unfortunately, those who want to shop around in somebody's bathroom and look in the medicine cabinet and take some pills. So get them out of the house if you're not using them. I went to the Avon Lake Police Station, and it's just simple. They just had me walk in. They had the box right there in there and just poured everything in, and out you went. We had 2 town hall meetings so far on our State of the County town halls. The most recent one in Sheffield Village. Thanks to those who came out for that. We're in New Russia tonight, the new facility over there, a beautiful facility. They have the community center over there, and then we'll be in Lorain on November 1st, updating everyone. We talked about the heroin epidemic, and probably should mention too about the prosecutor's office trying to keep up with all the crime-related cases associated with the heroin epidemic. They're just swamped. The coroner's office trying to keep up with everything as well too, and obviously the crime lab and coroner's question is a very a critical vote as well too for the residents of this county. This heroin epidemic is just like it's a big tidal wave, and we have limited resources, and it's almost impossible to keep up with it right now. So would also encourage you to get out and vote early. I know I went and voted early, and when I first pulled up I thought, well, there's some folks standing outside, but by the time I got up there and got through, I was in and out in no time at all. And despite what you may hear from some presidential candidates, elections aren't rigged or fixed. And if they were, we would hope it would be favorable for the sales tax. But elections are not fixed; they're not rigged. And believe me, your vote does count. It does matter. Get out and vote.
I was actually going to bring that out after, right, but we can do it if you'd like.
I don't know, she just handed it to
Yeah,
me.
I have the policy with me. It's a supplemental policy for the collection center that we have to do each year because of the nature of the materials that we collect there. It doesn't fit under our
Hazardous waste
CORSA
or whatever.
policy. I have the policy right here. I didn't bring it up under my business, but if you would approve it today, that would just expedite that.
Madam Clerk, could you read that?
Approving the insurance policy with Colonial Insurance Company effective October 27, 2016 through October 27, 2017 for HHW Collection Center, in the amount of $10,588.
Okay, so move.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Commissioner Kokoski, do you have a press release from the land, on demolitions? And
I do, but I don't have it with me. It's on my desk.
I thought we were going to talk about that. It's going to be released from Lorain today, too. That's why we gave it to you.
Oh,
Uh,
I didn't know that's why you gave it to me.
Well, can we have a little bit of dialogue on it, then we can get the press
absolutely.
release? As you know, we were,
Tape change. Let me go grab it?
if you'd like.
Go get her.
Okay. Press release going out. Lorain County Land Bank concluded bidding for the demolition of the final 27 of almost 200 blighted houses of vacant, abandoned housing under the Ohio Housing Finance Agency Neighborhood Improvement Initiative. On October 14th, 2016, the Land Bank received $3.3 million in funding to demolish blighted housing in qualified census tracts of Lorain County. This brings the total impact to Lorain County of over 400 blighted housing demolitions using nearly $8 million of non-county funds since the beginning of 2013. The final 27 blighted houses are located in distressed City of Lorain neighborhoods where the mortgage and abandonment crisis has hit the hardest. The goal of the Land Bank demolition program is to counter the negative effect blighted housing has on public safety, neighborhood reinvestment, crime, and housing values. The Land Bank continues to bring relief to neighborhoods where some of the worst blighted housing has contributed to crime and decline in housing values in Lorain. By fast-tracking these demolitions, we're hoping to take another step toward releasing the grip that the housing crisis has had on the city since as far back as 2008, says Lorain County Land Bank Board member and Lorain County Commissioner Lori Kokoski. Land Bank contractors have been given the go-ahead in full cooperation with the City of Lorain to fast-track these demolitions, taking action beginning immediately. They'll conclude their work by December 20th, 2016. So I'm sure those people in those neighborhoods are going to be so grateful that these eyesores are coming down, and hopefully we'll get these neighborhoods back into functioning use.
We're going to be dropping a house just about every other day. This is really a massive push towards the finish line. I will tell you that we've exhausted our OFA funding. I sent you an update on how they're looking to reallocate resources. I don't know how favorably it's going to be because some new land banks have opened up and they have priority on the funding. But doing a demo every other day,
Massive.
it only sounds like 27 homes, but we have about 60 days. And that's counting weekends and everything else. We're going to come back and backfill. We won't be able to pour all the concrete and replace because the sidewalks, the aprons, the curb cuts. One of the reasons our demo is a little bit more expensive than some surrounding communities is because we do replace all of that rather than leaving a driveway that people use as a parking lot on a vacant lot. We put the curbs back in, we put new sidewalks, remove the aprons, and at least return it to a responsible look. It's nothing worse than having the driveway and the apron there and nothing on the lot. But that work will catch up in the spring. When we do demos in the winter, we always catch up with that in the spring. We don't even want them to overseed right now. We just want the plot graded correctly so we can limit the erosion a bit. We'll put out some sediment controls, and then we'll come back in the spring. But I want to get all of these houses down for this community before the holiday season, so that people don't have to look at their window, look at these 27 homes.
You didn't mention the cost being higher also because we do remove all the debris from the basement that we're not just caving.
Right, we're
walls
allowed to
in.
collapse the foundations in. Do I think anybody's going to come build on those lots right now? No, but they may in years in the future, and I don't want them to have to dig out the foundations at that point and increase the cost then. We're using outside federal dollars to do this, so we do take out the foundations, we do compact the soil, and actually we clean the four corners of the property. We don't leave anything that's blighted. That goes for overgrown vegetation, anything that needs to be taken off the site we do. in hopes of having a prepared site so sometime in the future we can see some, hopefully, redevelopment or side yarding or whatever's going to happen with these properties. I know the city of Lorraine's pretty happy that we're making this last push. I've been working with them, closely on trying to get some of their fees down that have been stymieing some of the movement. I have had considerable conversation with Dan Given. We like to banter a little bit on that, but he has promised me that he's going to make sure that people get out there to get water meters out and do the inspections. It's been a little bit of a problem. The city of Lorraine's struggling. We all know that. They're struggling with staffing just like everybody else, but I don't want us to fail because we can't get an inspection or we can't get a water meter out, or we need to be able to have a resource that is quick to the demolition so that these folks can drop the houses. The cost came in a little bit lower because of the mobilization issue. There was a lot of them bid, so once they're out there and they got their equipment, they're just moving it around the neighborhood, so we were able to drive down some of that cost. I will tell you that we still have another 53 homes that we're now putting on the desire list. A few homes we're going to have to move into ownership. We'll make a decision whether we're going to use DRETAC funds on those or wait for the next round of OFER. We'll have that conversation at the Land Bank meeting in November. There's still a backlog. This is just because the money ended didn't end the problem. I got 7 homes earlier in the week from one of our townships that they'd like to see worked on. Those 2 or 3 of them fall into the census tract between Elyria and Lorain, so we'll be able to use additional OFA funds if it becomes available, but the other ones will have to be on the DRETAC. I've tried to maintain the DRETAC's integrity to use in those communities that we have not been able to spend federal dollars in. As an update to the public, just because we have OFA dollars doesn't mean it's to the 4 corners of Lorain County. It's in the hardest hit areas between Elyria and Lorain. Some township land does fall into that tract. So I've tried to save it for Avon Lake, North Ridgeville, the township, so that we have money to do work in those communities that needs to be done there also, while leveraging the maximum squeeze out of the federal dollars. I'm just hopeful that we'll see more money. I don't like really the way they're doing the formula. I know that other communities deserve funding, that are creating new land banks, but they're making us really stockpile houses before they'll see the need. And we're going to end up with a lot more properties that require demos, I think, than the funding is going to allow. So we'll secure those properties as best we can. We're probably going to be criticized as we have before, but when we hold on to properties, we're trying to figure out how to get them down once we take them. We'll have to deal with that. It's funny, it's been there for 10 years, and people complain a little bit, but as soon as we own it, they amplify their discontentment with the condition of the home.
Yeah.
I just want to let you know that because you've been subject to that out in the community, and you'll probably hear a little bit about it again.
It's okay. It's our job.
Well, I appreciate that, Commissioner. I'll report back to you the success of this, but the community should really look at this as the big undertaking it is. Thank you for your support on that, too.
Yeah. And along with this, because of this, the land bank, we've also been able to put some money towards a position in the prosecutor's office that is actually going after property owners that are not paying their taxes. And I just spoke with Chris Pianowski last night, and it's to $7.8 million that he's collected and gone after, and hope to be by about $10 million by the end of the year.
We're constantly referring properties that have significant delinquents in taxes. A lot of them can be put on a payment plan. Interesting, I found out something yesterday or the day before. Just when you think you know most everything about what you're dealing with, some property had transferred and had delinquent taxes on it, and I did not realize that property could transfer with delinquent taxes, but it can, as long as the person that's taking receipt of the property agrees that they're going to be obligated for the taxes. That was a surprise to me. I guess I never knew. I just assumed that was the way of things, was that when property transfer taxes had to be paid and up to date, but they do not have to be. This is something that may be really, really good for our state legislators to take a look at. I asked Chris if a local solution could be put into place that would require, prior to transferring title, that taxes had to be up to date. He didn't think so. if that's the case, I think we should work with our representatives and strengthen the land bank and strengthen making sure that these things are taken care of and don't get these orphan properties out there by requiring full compliance with tax, to all back taxes be payable upon transfer or no transfer occurs. I don't know if you want to take
I'm
it
surprised.
up.
I mean, you figure you have to have a water bill follows the property, and you can't transfer it without, I mean, you can transfer it, but I don't know,
Well,
I'm surprised.
That's a municipal issue.
Right.
So in the municipal good. I am really tongue-tied this morning. I apologize. Municipalities have some inherited powers that we do not possess. But I would ask you to think about possibly having a talk with our legislators and taking a
Absolutely.
look at that issue. It would compel more compliance if we had some tools in the box to force people to do what they're supposed to be doing all along. The public doesn't realize how many people speculate in rundown properties and hold them for a number of years, deplete them even further, and then walk away from massive tax bills. And unless we come in and start putting money into the property or doing work on the property, it just lays orphaned and abandoned and offensive to the community. And we don't have enough money to be dealing with all these. We have to have people be responsible there to what they're supposed to be doing. But I'll let you know how it goes with these houses, and hopefully it'll be a nice Christmas present to us all.
Yeah, I'm caught off guard by that, too. I always thought the taxes had to be paid before the transfer.
I was shocked.
You guys made the rules for us.
Uh-oh.
You guys.
Uh-oh.
You guys.
Oh, wait a minute, you were in the minority,
Yes,
weren't
no,
you?
Yeah, the minority, yeah.
That's usually part of the closing.
Yeah.
I would
I mean, I've never.
But here's the
Sidebar.
loophole.
Yeah, maybe something.
Side deal.
Well, here's the loophole. That's a closing, because you're going through escrow and you're,
Right.
so what if I just quick deeded on a cash sale to you?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
So it gets quick deeded on a cash sale. Now, the transfer still has to be registered, but it doesn't go through a closing, an escrow agent. So I give you $10,000 for a piece of property, agree to assume the tax liability that's owed, and we do a quick deed transfer, and bing, it's done. And that's the problem they're having with the point of sale over in the city of Lorain. The same thing can happen on a point of sale. There's nothing to stop the property from transferring. So the desire is there to have some ability to work on that problem, and I think it's one that can strengthen these communities as they continue to try to redevelop.
And as we've said before with the land bank, we don't want your property. You know, we just want everybody to pay their taxes, and but these properties come in the land bank are certainly properties that have pretty much seen their better days.
There's not much value to these properties.
No. Okay, Madam
Is
Clerk,
that it for your report?
that would be it.
Okay. Board correspondence.
I think we should read it.
Well, board correspondence?
Yeah, maybe we'll do that today. I move to approve the board correspondence and waive the reading.
1 through 12.
1 through 12, okay.
I don't want to second it. We'll just read it.
Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Public comment?
Anyone wishing to participate in public comment this morning? Seeing no participants for public comment, I would move that we go into executive session, discuss personnel issues outlined by the county administrator and the legal issues outlined by the assistant prosecutor.
Second.
Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
This has been a broadcast of the recent Lorain County Commissioners' General Meeting. Unless otherwise announced, meetings are held Wednesday morning at 9:30 at the Administration Building, 226 Middle Avenue, 4th floor, downtown Elyria. These are public meetings, and you are invited to attend. Agendas are posted prior to the meeting at www.loraincounty.us. Click on Departments to see the Commissioners page, then click on View Agenda for a printable copy of the agenda.
The United States of America is writing a prescription for pain that is wiping young people like me off the map. Our addiction to legally prescribed pain pills, like oxycodone or hydrocodone, is leading a lot of us straight to heroin. That's because prescription painkillers and heroin are both opioids. So when we can't get a refill, heroin is the only way to stop our pain, or to get the same high. And heroin's less expensive and easier to get. I can have black tar heroin delivered to my house faster than a pizza. Once we start, we have to keep using. Not for the high, but because we get sick from withdrawal if we try to stop. It's an epidemic. We're rich, poor, and middle class. We're from farms, cities, and suburbs. We're from families who had big hopes that we'd live healthy lives and not fall so far from such a high.
They're doing drugs.
It's easy to start, and it's painful to stop.
Prescription drugs are a prescription for a reason. If you take too many of a prescription narcotic, you die.
Chelsea was very well liked by her friends and by her teachers.
Ronnie was going down to Tennessee State to be the next player to come out of Tennessee State.
Joey was extremely popular, just surrounded by friends.
Mark was an athletic, fit-looking kid.
Aaron enjoyed talking and debating with any and all people.
The prescription pain pill problem is a huge epidemic.
This is an epidemic.
This is an epidemic that is infiltrated our young people.
We never had a conversation with Joey about prescription drugs because we truly had no idea that there was any kind of recreational use going on.
How many guys know it's not used by
The first time I started doing painkillers was when I was 17.
I would steal pills from my friend's mom. Her stepmom had script for Vicodin. That was like heaven. I went in her room and stole Vicodin every day.
He would ask to use the bathroom in other people's homes, and he'd go in there and go in their medicine cabinets and steal prescription drugs.
These medications are available everywhere in every socioeconomic environment.
Ronnie was the starting halfback, one of our best players. He got several scholarship offers.
Ronnie was very popular in the neighborhood.
Ronnie was a neat freak, clean freak, always had his hair braided. When he got into the pill use, his mood changed. He changed, like, was that Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde?
Ronnie's appearance really deteriorated, and it was really unlike him.
I said, "Are you doing drugs?" And my son looked at me with these eyes of, "How could you even think of that, Mom?"
I was walking up to football practice. My coach was walking towards me. He just had this crazy look on his face. He goes, "You think they might have found your brother?" And I was like, to me, I was like goofing. I was like, I didn't know he went missing. So I was like making like goofing off. And he was like, "No, Justin, seriously, they might have found his body." And I was like, "Wait a minute." I was like, "Whoa, what?" He's like, "Yeah, they discovered a body in an apartment in Telford."
I never thought my son would take prescription drugs without a prescription.
Parents often trip themselves up by asking a simple question: "Are you using drugs?" No. One has to be able to say, "I'm seeing some signs here that concern me."
He was a little bit more argumentative. We thought that was maybe hormones.
The person has what we call pinpoint pupils. Literally, the pupils look like a pinpoint.
She slept odd hours.
We didn't know why he was sleeping so late.
If I wasn't able to get high, then I didn't want to get out of bed because, the physical withdrawals.
We were missing tinfoil from the kitchen, missing spoons.
We'd find the pens that were cut in half.
Straws.
There were a lot of charges coming on the credit cards.
We thought that there was somebody stealing money out of her account.
That's probably a pretty good clue there's something going on. Joey was pretty upset with his roommates. They were spending all their money on medication. Had I known that the medications that they were taking were so dangerous, I would have told them, you're not even going back to that place.
If you feel something's going on, you got to investigate.
I thought it was just a phase. We partied when we were in high school, and it's just sort of a phase you go through as you grow, experience life, and you grow out of it. And I thought he was on that track.
Joey had been found and he was unconscious. He had all these medications that he had just received from this doctor. More than likely, he crushed and snorted it. We're just being completely hit blindly by, a situation we had absolutely no understanding of and no notice of. And in the meantime, my husband's in the house. I'm out front in the front of the house, just, wondering what we're dealing with here. And so finally, Joe just came out and said, he's gone.
I was downstairs getting ready for work. Cookie told me she couldn't get Mark up. Mark was powerful and had the nickname in some circles of Tank. I reminded her that what she had to do was get a cup of water and splash him with it and stay out of his way. And she told me it was different. We found a clear plastic bag of loose pills. I'm not sure if he even thought he was doing drugs, and I know that sounds crazy, but it's not like it was heroin or cocaine. We followed the ambulance to the hospital. A few minutes later, someone came in and told us that Mark was dead. We never thought that was a possibility.
I had no idea that kids were abusing medicine.
I came home one night, saw the basement light on, and went up to the window, and my son was crushing and snorting the pills.
We would find pills in the shoes, in the jackets that are hanging in the closet, in the pockets.
I found some pills hidden under his cushion.
They were in his socks. I never checked my kid's socks.
He took the light switch plate off and put them in there.
Look everywhere. Is it an invasion? No. You're doing the right thing as a parent.
I would question Chelsea, and she would always assure me that everything is fine and nothing's wrong.
Kids don't want to get in trouble, so they're going to tell you exactly what you want to hear.
There was always something down deep inside that said to me, something's wrong. You doubt yourself because you wonder if you're making a bigger deal out of something.
Maybe deep down my parents knew that I was high.
You can't always believe your child. Their lies get bigger when they're trying to hide substance abuse.
I knew her inside and out, and I remember Chelsea as the little girl that she used to be.
I looked at him and I only saw the most beautiful son in the world.
It was very difficult to think that she would be lying to me, which she was. She was out using and abusing prescription drugs.
Long-acting agents like OxyContin are meant to be delivered in the body over a period of hours, if not a day. If they're chewed, crushed, and snorted, you get the entire dose at one blast, and if the body's not ready to accommodate that, you will stop breathing.
We needed to call the police. But what are the neighbors going to think?
Put all of that aside and focus on what's important, as difficult as it may be.
Families can't get too caught up in the idea that there may be an arrest charge of my son or daughter. They could be in jail. They could be in the morgue.
The law saved my life. If my mom hadn't called the cops on me, I don't know where I would be right now.
It was the most difficult thing to do, to call the police on your own child. It was horrible. I have gone from putting importance on things like what college are you going to get into, to just celebrating the fact that she's alive today. She's doing very well. She's clean and sober. She's productive. She's sweet. And I have her back, and I'm thankful. And it's wonderful.
Aaron had spent the night at a friend's, and they found him blue and non-responsive. They took him to a local hospital.
He was using Vicodin in which we found out through his toxicology what was in his blood system.
I witnessed him have 2 heart attacks in ICU. He had staph, he had pneumonia, he went through seizures. The doctor was explaining to us that he was going to die. We held his hands on each side and we started crying and he just laid there.
People use the medications in an abusive way, not knowing what the full consequences are, and somebody ends up here.
Within 24 hours, Aaron had opened his eyes.
Parents are the first line of defense in terms of prescription drug abuse.
You got to sit your kids down. You just got to tell them about the severity of the problem.
There's a number of steps that you can take.
Educate your child and yourself very early.
Anybody who feels that this can't happen to my child,
it could happen to your kid.
Make sure that you don't have excess pills in your home.
Keep your medication locked up because you're never going to notice if something's gone.
What my mom does is she has these take-home pee tests that I got to take. No, I want to keep my mom proud of me and I don't want to let her down.
You need to have the conversation with them about drug and substance abuse. And you need to include prescription drugs and guide them so they're able to get through their high school years and into college and through their college years drug-free.
Have this conversation before it's too late to have this conversation.
We load up an 18-foot trailer, rugs, cables, audio-video equipment, sound systems, all the lighting. Then we have the task of hauling everything out of the trailer and taking it into the gymnasium or lunchroom or whatever large multi-purpose room they have for us. We're generally there for the whole day. If we're going to be back at the school the next day, we can leave our equipment still set up. If we're going to be at a different school the next day, then we have the job of removing it from the multi-purpose room and taking it back to the trailer, loading up the trailer, and locking it up and calling it quits for the day. It started in January 2007 with CERTS, which is Safe Routes to School. And Ken had an idea to develop the Safety Star program. It has escalated to the point where, as of this year's date, we have seen 38,000 students in Lorain County.
County Engineer's Office is quite proud to announce that the Safe Routes to School program has been initiated throughout Lorain County. We're very excited about this. To help these children from grades K to 4, teaching them to walk the streets safely is very important to us. We've seen statistics that quite frankly shock us. Many times we read and see stories of pedestrians being hit by automobiles in Lorain County, and it just tears my heart to see these children from K to 4 part of that. This program is to stop that, to help diminish those type of situations, and to educate these children on crossing the street safely. And we're quite happy to announce.
We bring safety to the school. We're self-contained. We have all the mock simulations of scenarios such as busy intersections. We have all the roads, movie screens, our audio-video system, streets, sidewalks, grass, working traffic signals, working railroad signals, and we bring that all to the school so the student does not have to leave. To make sure that all the lights, bulbs are working. And that all the audio video equipment is up and running. We then put on the program. We put together a dynamite program with a lot of positivity. We're very animated. The students enjoy it while they're learning an important rule about safety. When we ask questions, we ask for group participation. It's never just one student answering the question. It's everybody answering the question together.
Are you ready?
Teachers included. We make learning fun for everybody. We show two short films. One is Willie the Whistle, and Willie the Whistle teaches kids in a simple format the correct way to walk with parents, aunts or uncles, or any other family members that are responsible adults to cross streets where there are no stop signs or where it's just stop signs and no traffic lights, and to cross streets where there are parked cars, what to look for, when to cross, when there are cars parked along the sides of the street. And again, it's all basically looking left, right, and left. When the short film is over, we generally teach from what the kids just watched. And those are the scenarios then we go over with our mock setup. We go over basically what the video has just gone over. And then we let the kids apply what they just learned to doing it in real life to our mock simulation that we have in the room that we are performing in. Everybody leaves at the end of our program with a great feeling, knowing that all they have to do is look left, right, and left again, and they're going to be smiling for a good long time. I would highly recommend this program to all administrative principals in every school system. And it's a very good program. I believe in it 100%. I've had students see me at the mall or see me at a carnival or a festival and come up and say, "I remember you. You're the safety guy. You're Mr. Neal." And the first question I ask them, what are the 3 ways you look before you cross the street? This could be the year after we saw them, and they always say left, right, and left again, and they say it with a smile. So I know our program works.
Because you did a good job today, at the end of the day, you're going to get to go home with the yellow safety star bag.
The fun part. The students get to take home their surprise at the end of the day, which is the yellow safety star bag. And inside that bag are some neat things about pedestrian safety. We have the pedestrian safety flashcards. They also will get the Safety Star Certificate of Participation, which has their school name on it and the date. And we like to let the kids know that that's something that they can take home and hang on their refrigerator, they can hang on their bedroom door, or they can have their parents put it in a scrapbook for them. Their parents will receive some information such as the top 10 safety tips for adults, because even as adults we need to refresh our memories on safety. They, as students, will receive the top 10 Safety Star tips for students. They will also receive a Safety Star maze for those that are a little bit more adventurous and like a challenge. We also offer a safety coloring sheet. And there are some other things in the bag, but the things the kids like the most is the Safety Star pencil. And that's a pencil that changes colors when you touch it. And with that pencil comes the Safety Star eraser, which is a yellow eraser shaped like a star, and it says Safety Star on it. We need 40-foot by 40-foot area, electrical accessibility, and a way to turn off and on the main lights of the room for our movies that we show. The smallest class we've done is 15 students. The largest class is 60. So usually the classes range from 23 to 25 students per class. There are occasions where the school has to schedule 2 classes at a time. We're very flexible. We do have the ability to fit into smaller rooms, so we pretty much will accommodate to what they can offer. I would highly recommend this program to all principals in every school system. At the end of the day, I feel very, very good. I'm excited that I know that kids are going to practice what they've learned, and I can go home and sleep good at night knowing that those children are going to get to school safely, they're going to get home safely, they're going to be smiling, and their parents are going to be smiling because everybody is safe.
Our mission is to capture and preserve the spirit, the sacrifices, and rich history of the American people. We want to honor those men and women who support and defend our way of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, as well as inspire future generations of Americans to understand how important it is to preserve this concept of freedom that we enjoy every day.
I knew that as a young child that I would join the military service and that I would become a United States Marine. I wanted to give back to this country, to serve my country. I wanted to give back all of myself to this country. And being a Marine is one who accepts challenges and adversity, faces them head on, and always knows and says to himself, I will never give up. We created this memorial to tell America's story from 1775 to present day. We want to captivate the hearts and minds of the American people to never forget the sacrifice that had been made to protect the rights and freedoms we have today. We need to keep America's sense of patriotism ignited and a continued respect for those who support and defend our freedom and way of life, both here and abroad. We need to educate our future generations that we are a country of many people, but as Americans we are one. Being American means flying the flag, to know the words to the national anthem and the Pledge of Allegiance, and bursting with pride when you hear those. It means being thankful for all those who have given their lives for this country. Finally, being an American means appreciating its great beauty.
As a volunteer nonprofit organization, we pledge our time, talent, and resources to honor the men and women who support and defend this country.
My name is Patricia A. Sexton. I am the wife of Sergeant David Mason Sexton, the U.S. Army, who lost his life on March 15, 1971, and his remains have yet to come home to his son and I. During the years after I lost my husband, I felt like I needed to be doing something more for this country and our service. I went and got involved with Rolling Thunder, Chapter 5 out of Ohio. We built a POW MIA traveling wall that depicted the 137 names that were still classified as either prisoners of war or missing in action. Then in 2004, Ron Smith joined, and all the years after that we traveled, talking to military, talking to every family that we possibly could, and realized from what they were saying that we needed possibly to have something else that depicted the spirit of the American people and to honor our military men and women, our police and fire.
In January 2014, Ray Simon of Ray Simon Art was contracted to paint the artwork. Ray's work always evokes a strong emotional feeling that pays tribute to the individual or event. He masterfully uses his artistic gift and integrates it with his deep love and reverence for American culture.
In 2013, it was just a vision. but as of November 2015, it will be a reality.
We encourage and challenge everyone to do whatever they can to honor those brave individuals who support, defend, and preserve our way of life. Please help and join us as we bring the spirit of America's story to thousands of Americans who want to pay tribute and honor to those who support and defend our great country.